everyone and welcome to this making items video for the Unity inventory system by Bracky. So I'm sorry it has taken me so long to finally come up with this video, but there's been a lot of demand for different kinds of series, so it has been down prioritized a bit, but now it's here. And first off, some information. We are not going to be creating these items from scratch. We're going to be making them using the free inventory system available on the Unity Asset Store. So go to brackies.com/inventory and click the Get It Here button. You will also see a demo video, and I also have a setup tutorial, so everything should be there. And also the scene I am going to be using is from the Unity survival game series. So if you want to really follow along and also see how to set up the player to work with animations and damaging the opponent so that you can also switch weapons and all that, you can go ahead and watch the latest survival game video, which is called Melee Switching and New Melee. So you can get all of that working. Those two should be just right. So cool. Let's go ahead and get started. So as always, I've opened up Unity, and here you can see just what the finished result will look like somewhat. So let's just delete that. And of course, I'm just going to get rid of these errors. So whenever you start up with the inventory system, you will have a folder called inventory. So let's double click that. And in here we have a guide document. So if we open this up, you will pretty much have all the information necessary to use the inventory system. So if we just scroll down here, we can see a table of contents, and we want to make some items. And what we are going to be doing is we are going to create just the weapon items, because there are many type of items. And the weapon items are definitely the most advanced to create. So once you master that, you can easily do the rest. So that's what I'm going to walk you through. So we're going to scroll all the way down to page 5 down here, where it says creating weapon items. Cool. So first off, let's read that weapon items are the most difficult to create. This is because you need to create 2 versions. Basically, you need to create an item version, which is the one that will lie on the ground, have physics. It will store the icon. It's the one we can interact with. And then we have the weapon version, which is basically just graphics and then maybe a weapon script if you wanted to do damage. Just the one that we can see and we will hold in our hands. And this allows us to really be good on the computer, because we don't need to disable components when we don't need a rigid body and such. We'll just have 2 versions. Cool, so let's start out by creating the item version. And first off, we drag a model into our scene. So I already have one here, but I'll just delete it and show you how to do this. So go under Inventory, Weapons. Let's just use the axe. You can use any one you want. And drag it into the scene, and there we have it. So we are already on our way. Cool. So now we can go ahead and go back to our guide document and see that if we are using first person pickup, we can attach a collider. So we'll do that in just a sec. These 2 optional steps. First off, let's just attach the item component. So go to Add Component and then Inventory and select Items and Item. And this is the component that sits on all items. This handle all the most important information back and forward. So in the item icon slot, let's just here select the X icon texture, which is comes with the pack. We want that to be equal to true. Item type, we want this to be a weapon or whatever you've set it to be. So if we go under our player and then our inventory, we can here see our different armor slot names. And you can see here that I have 3 elements for weapons, because I want to be able to carry 3 different weapons, which you can then quickly switch between. And therefore I want the item type to match this And it's very important that it's exactly the same or we cannot equip it. Stackable, we're just going to leave that off. Is equipment, we want to check that, and we want also to check is also weapon. The equip weapon version is what it says there, is something we're going to fill in a sec. That's the other version of the weapon that we will drag in there as a prefab. Cool, so let's continue. If we go back to our guide document, we can see that we can attach some physics and some colliders. So let's do that. So let's hit add component, physics, and then a mesh collider. Let's do that. And this will easily just create a collider around our mesh. You can use any kind of collider you want. But remember that if you want two mesh colliders to collide and not just go through each other, you want to check convex. So I'm just going to do that for good sake, good practice. Let's hit add component again, go under physics, and this time select rigid body. So once we do this, all the settings are just fine, and we can collapse both the mesh collider and the rigid body. And when we now play, we should be able to see the weapon just dropping to the ground. And actually, if we click it with our mouse now, it will pick up. So that's something you might want for third-person games. And then the item is actually already set up. So we can see it now in our inventory when we press I. But we are in a first-person game. So let's go ahead and add something that will allow us to pick it up by just walking over and pressing E. So let's go under, let's see where we have it, inventory, items, first-person pickup. And you can see that we get this yellow range once we select it. And this is the range you need to be inside in order to pick up the weapon. And this might look pretty large, but we actually want it to be even larger for this game. It's something you're going to have to play around with. I'm going to go with something like 2.3. And the reason why is we don't need to just be inside it. Our center of the player needs to be inside of this. So it just measures the distance from the center of our axe to the center of our player. So it's not a collider per se. So let's try to hit play now, and we can walk over to our axe, and you can see that once you get close enough, it says press E to pick up axe. And once we do that, we hear a sound, the weapon disappears, and when we now hit I, we can see it in our inventory. And now when we try to equip it to a weapon slot, we get an error. So let's just close the game here and see what it says. It says, remember to assign the equip weapon variable. So if we now go ahead and look under our item script, we forgot to make the second version. So let's just now duplicate this axe, hitting Control D or Command D if you're on a Mac. And let's rename this new version to axe weapon. And we could make this axe item. I'm just going to leave it as axe, because then when it says press E to pick up axe, it will not say axe item. That would be weird. So cool. So our axe weapon, let's go ahead and select that. And then we can simply just remove the first person pickup, the rigid body, the mesh collider, and the item scripts. So now we are good to go. And what we can also do is, because the way I've set it up here is I have a weapon script that I attach to all weapons to allow them to do damage and handle different animations. So I'm just going to attach that. And again, this is part of the survival game series. So if you want to learn how to make this or just download it, you can always go to bragkeys.com and go into the survival game, or you can find the videos on YouTube. Cool, so let's just bump up the damage to something more like 150, because this is a pretty large and nice axe. And the max distance, maybe let's do 1.7, maybe even 1.8. And the animator, let's just click that and select the only one that's in the scene. That's the arms 5. And the damage delay, let's just leave that at 0.6. We can test around with that later. So now that we have this set up, from the survival game series, it will also work together with our player. It will not just spawn, it will also have animations and look really cool. Awesome. So one last thing is just we want to change the layer to draw always. Again, a part of the survival game series, which will make sure that this weapon will draw on top of our hands and not behind them. Cool. So now that we have that set up, let's go ahead and make this into a new prefab. So let's drag the axe weapon down here to the project pane, and we can now just delete it from our scene. Let's select our axe and then drag in the axe weapon prefab into the equipped weapon version. Great, and now we can drag in our axe and make that into a prefab as well. And so we can just distribute the axe one around the scene. And if we hit play now, and we will see our two weapons falling to the ground. And if we go over and try and pick one of them up, it will go into our inventory. And when we double click this, you can see it equips it in our hand. When we then go back to playing, we can see that we are constantly hitting things until I press attack. And then the computer will think, oops, it stopped there for some reason. It should just have stopped attacking. I don't know why it's glitching out. That's weird. So let's just give it a sec here, and I might need to pause the video quickly. Oh, it came back there. That's weird. We have a null reference exception. The animator of weapon has not been assigned. I'm pretty sure I assigned that one. This, the animator.setBool. Didn't I assign that? Let's just check if all of our references are okay. So it's not in here. First off, in the instruction, okay, so let's just delete one of these and select the axe here and see what's wrong. So the instruction box skin, let's actually set that just to other skin. Remember, if you don't know what something, what a variable does, then you can simply just double click the script and it will open it up, and then you can find, let's say, the variable here, and you can just read about it. So here it says the skin to use. Default one is other skin under the resource folder, and so you can just go there and find it. So if you don't know what something is, simply just double click it and we can figure it out. Cool, so it says that under the weapon here that we haven't assigned stuff correctly. So let's find our, oops, try again. Let's find our axe weapon, and let's see, yeah, the animator is not selected. So that's annoying. That's the thing. Let's drag it into the scene again, and let's just select the animator there, and let's hit apply and delete this. And now when we go ahead and try and do this, we should see it working. Yeah, it's working now. But actually it's still not working. What is going on? The animator, so for some reason when we drag it down to be a prefab, because it's in the scene, the variable here, it loses its connection. So what we could do here is we could find it, I guess we could maybe drag it in from, no, we're gonna have to retrieve it. So let's just make some kind of function that will allow us to retrieve the animator. So I'll just quickly go ahead and pause the camera here and figure out what's going on, and I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so I'm back and I found a relatively easy way to just fix this quickly. So what is happening is our axe weapon version here needs an animator in order to access the in order to change the animations, and we need this to be on the arms 5 animator. But because the axe weapon is not in the scene but it's spawned in, we need to find it in our scene once it's spawned. So what we can just do is we can open up our weapon script in monodevelop, and I'll just zoom in here so you can see things a little better. And then what we can do is in our function attack damages, where we change the value, in here we can simply say that if our animator should be equal to null, then we can just find it. So if the animator is equal to null, then we want to open up some brackets, and in here we simply want to say GameObject.find, and this is not the best way to do things using GameObject.find and getComponent, but it will get you there, and I mean for 99% of indie games this should be just fine. It's okay. So GameObject.find, and then we want to find the arms5 object of whatever it's called on your computer. And then we want to close this off, and we want to do dot get component, and then simply open it up, and then it's going to be of type animator. So it will find the arms5 object, and then it will get the component animator. And we want, of course, to say that the animator should be equal to GameObject.find. So just put the animator equals before this. Now let's see if this will finally work. So let's go in here, select our weapon, find it in the inventory, equip it, and now it should be just hitting, and when I now press, it should stop attacking, and it does. So now it has found the animator. And to make our weapon not just hit everything that moves until we have hit a key, we can go ahead and find our weapon switch script, and in here we can just add a few lines of code. So if we scroll all the way down here to find the animator.setBool weapon is on, true, we can simply go down here and we can say the animator.setBool and then hit 1 to false, and the same for hit 2. So animator.setBool hit 2 should also be false. And it might just hit a single time, but I think that's a bug we can live with because the solution to that is a bit longer, and that's not really the point of this video. So now let's go ahead and select our item, hit I, double click it, and it will hit once, and it should stop. Why is it not stopping? Great, so everything is just working today. It's great. Let's see what we can do to change this. So we have the animator, and we set the bool hit 1 and hit 2 to false. This should be working again. We might need to move this down under the weapon is true statement. So let's try this. Let's try this again. We can also just check that our weapon switch script is correct. So find our hold and our melee here. And okay, so here we have the reason is using a weapon switch, not weapon switch 2, which was the one that I just changed. So let's just exit out of that again. And I don't know why it's sitting there. I don't think we are using it anymore. But anyway, let's open up the weapon switch this time, and now scroll all the way down here, find the weapon is on part, and in here we want to change stuff. So say that the animator.setBool hit 1 should be equal to false, and that the animator, whoops, same mistake again there, and that the animator hit 2 should also be false. Great, so let's try this one last time. Great, so we are picking up our weapon, finding it in the inventory, equipping it, and now it doesn't attack until we tell it to. And we can scroll between our weapons, the fist and the axe weapon, and we can also use our number keys, and everything is working just the way we wanted it to. That took way too long. I'm sorry this tutorial was so clunky, but there's a lot of balls in the air whenever you are that you have to keep track of whenever you are making items and inventories, because it's so many objects that has to just communicate back and forth. So great, I hope this wasn't too confusing. Some of the edits I made here might already be in there when you download the scripts. But that's pretty much creating weapons. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.